All right. It is 9 o'clock. I'd like the record to show that all the members of the court are present. This is a special section of the budget workshop. If you would, please stand. And I'll lead with an opening prayer. Father, please guide all our decisions today. Make them fair and just and pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen.
And follow Commissioner Cheshire with the pledge to the American flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And let's follow Commissioner Kennedy with the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated. Since Gary is not back yet, would, oh, Gary, I didn't see you come back in. I've got you set up, go ahead. Let's do the airport first. Okay. Go ahead, if you would, please state your name. We all know who you are, but for the record.
Name's Gary Ledney. I'm manager airport. Good to see you all this morning.
Morning.
Well, we've had a couple good years, and not a lot of changes in the budget this year. But I would like to go over a thing or two. I did a little checking on our past, and these numbers are for fuel sales are kind of a pretty good measure of the health of the airport. When they're down, we're not bringing in a lot of business. Not, you know, the county's not doing well, and when we start selling a lot of fuel, businesses are coming in, and the outlook is great. And so I'd like to share with y'all the beginning of January 1st through July 21st of the past several years, and just talk about just fuel sales. In 2015, in those months, we sold 65,000 gallons, which was not real good. Things were looking pretty dim. Business activity was pretty sad. It had a pretty good jump in 2016 to 103,000 gallons. 2017, my first year as manager, we had another jump to 117,000. Last year we went to 144,000 gallons. That's in the first 6 months of the year. And then this year we went to 155. So health of the airport is in pretty good shape. We've had a lot of things going on. We had the good report last year where our economic impact went from 5.5 million to 26 million. That would be a yearly economic impact, which generates many, many tax dollars in the community, the city of Lufkin and Angelina County. All right, in my proposal for the budget, there's not many changes. It's a little bit up in a couple and down in a couple. That all in all, on the day-to-day operations of the airport, it's actually a little bit of a decrease. However, we're asking for access to our funds that we have in the airport fund to finance a project that we have upcoming. Now, we had put in a letter of interest with the state of Texas to do a game fence and security fence around the whole airport, and then a couple taxiway projects that we had that would have amounted to $2.1 million. Our share being 10% of that. I did get a letter yesterday from the state, and we weren't really expecting to even be considered for this till next year, or after talking to the FAA lady that came saw me last week, she was acting like, well, you know, it would be 5 years. But I got a letter from the state yesterday, and they've made an offer to us that they're considering this year's money, which would generate into next year, to do the game fence. Didn't mention the taxiways. I'm gonna talk to her about that, but in that's why that in the budget proposal, we have, the capital outlay to $188,000, and that's to pay our 10% of the funds for that. And that's really the major change in the budget is for that. That would most likely create that loss, but we do have those funds in our cash.
Gary,
In our funds.
I understand that the 50,000 of that was basically already budgeted or set aside.
I had asked for 50,000, and that was really in case something came up. If we had with so much material and things that we have out there, the lighting system could go out and end up costing us $50,000. So, I'd put 50,000 in my request to start with, and then increased it when we got this letter to 188. That's right.
For future growth of the airport, the taxiways to be able to add additional hangar space and everything is extremely important. And if we can get that help, and it's been advised by the airport advisory.
It has.
Committee.
Yeah, the game fence was approved with the 2 taxiways, one for safety, a safety taxiway, the other one for expansion. Both of them probably are $300,000 projects in themselves. We're hopeful that they may add one or both of those to this game fence project that they're offering to us, so we'll just have to see.
Okay.
But she said that the design would be $150,000, the $1.23 million to do the game fence, and then she's making this offer. Let me know if you'd like to move forward with programming the design in 2020 and the construction in 2020 or 21. Probably if it were to be done next year, it would be after September when their new year comes along. That's probably when the funding would happen. So we'll just see.
And that's still within the 5-year term where we can use the same engineer that we've already got set up.
Yeah, I believe that y'all had that committee. Judge Lindberry was on that committee that chose the last engineer, and they chose Strand, who was the engineer on this previous project. And I believe that they're within that 5-year window, so I think that we won't have to make another choice.
Right. Okay.
Are there any questions about the budget proposal that I've laid out? You can see a little bit of increase here and a little decrease there.
Guys, any questions? Yes, not.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank y'all.
Commissioner, do you have one?
None.
Oh, okay.
No.
Thank you. IT.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you,
Thanks, Gary. I'm sorry. All the way back.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Gary Jordan. I'm the IT director.
Technology.
What we're asking for this year above our normal operating budget is to $31,700 to replace our battery backup
To
unit.
the regular. Okay.
Typically, we can handle most anything in our capital outlay. Every now and then, something unforeseen will come up, and this is one of those things where our capital outlay would pretty much have to take a big bite out of it. This particular unit in December will be 10 years old with a life expectancy of 3 to 5 years. We've more than got our money's worth out of it. We replaced our generator this year, so now the weak link is going to be this battery backup, which actually holds, powers every one of our servers and switches in case of a power loss until our generator kicks in. We've done some maintenance on it, replaced batteries on it, but it's not operating at 100%. It's just going to continue, it's going to just kind of go downhill. So it's time to replace it, so we're asking for that this year, to go ahead and replace that next year. And that's it in a nutshell.
You said its operating capacity is below 70%?
Yes. Which actually, we should have about 25 minutes of run time before the generator kicks in, and it's down to about 15 minutes.
Gary, you had mentioned to me about storage for the future and where we're headed. What do we need to be looking at a year from now, 2 years from now?
We're gathering that information now. I don't have that. Like we talked about, we've got to get together with all the personnel that's going to be involved in that and come up with a plan. I think that we can handle that through our normal budget. I don't think we'll have to ask for anything.
Okay.
So you're requesting the 31,700 in capital outlay?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
What about the software? If we change the software at the sheriff's office, is that gonna affect IT storage any or make it better?
No. Okay. I don't have any effect on it.
Expensive batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Just to make sure I didn't misunderstand something, Commissioner Cheshire, you said capital outlay of 31,700
It's gonna be added to,
okay. The 176.3 is what you're requesting in total?
Yes.
Okay, just want to be sure.
No. Okay.
Have you?
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
All righty. All right, Chad. Hadn't shown yet. Okay. You're up. Good morning.
Good morning. Precinct 2 Constable Trey Trevathan.
Thank you, Trey.
I'll go over mine just short and sweet here. I'm asking on my vehicle insurance, I currently get $2,800, and I'm asking for $3,000 because I had to pay out of pocket this past year. I think y'all have a copy of that. Where I had to pay $122, I think, out of pocket. So I'm asking for an increase in that to $3,000. And also on office supplies, I currently get $800, and I'm asking for $1,000 on that for postage, because I do a lot of certified mail with papers. So $200 on that. And then the fuel budget, I've had $8,000 since 2009, and I'm asking for $12,000 on that. And I have the smallest fuel budget, from the other constables. Any questions or anything about it?
The fuel budget, that's a $4,000 increase. Can you live with less? I know, I don't want you to have to take any out of your pocket.
I'd be happy with anything, but I've had $8,000 since 2009 and really hadn't had any increase, and my papers are constantly going up. Because in precinct 2, we have a lot of papers.
Right.
But yeah, any help I could get on that would, for sure help. And I'd like to add too, on our salaries for the constables, precinct 1, his base salary is $52,285. Precinct 2, which is mine, is $42,654, and precinct 3 is $41,450, and precinct 4 is $45,061. You know, we're the only county officials that don't have equal pay, and I'd like for y'all to discuss that possibly. You know, how come one makes so much more money as the other one? So anything y'all can do on that would be great.
Guys,
I'd be happy to look at it. I mean, it's.
I mean, it's a big difference, you know, for sure.
On the, let me just ask you, on the $4,000 on the fuel,
Yes, sir.
your paperwork is picking up a lot more?
Yeah, I think Precinct 2 has the second highest papers
Yeah.
out of all the JPs.
Right, okay.
And Judge Puckett's here today. I'm
Yeah,
sure he'd
yeah.
answer any
Morning,
questions.
Judge.
We're not a part-time JP office like the Constable Precinct 1 said.
Right.
You know, we're a full-time office. We have a good staff.
Yeah,
You know, we do a good job.
right. Okay. I mean, you know, you
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah, I appreciate you asking.
So really just a total of 4,200 is what you're requesting, and then for us to look at the base salaries?
Let me see.
Or did I miss it?
Actually, I think you missed something there.
there was insurance.
4,000 on fuel, 200 on office supplies, and, oh, it was?
It would be 4,400.
And vehicle
Okay.
insurance.
Yeah,
Vehicle
yeah.
insurance increase,
So
yes.
44 total, and then look at the salaries.
Right, if you look at the salaries, because there's a big difference in Chad's and Precinct 1. You
Right.
know, so if you look at that, I'd appreciate it. I don't know if it's ever been looked at, but everybody else has the same salary as far as the job title. So I would think that y'all should at least look at that.
Good point.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good
Thank you, Trey.
presentation. Chad, you're up. You got here just in time. Good morning.
I thought I was the 9:30.
Good morning. Well, you were. We're moving through a little faster.
I apologize, I
That's not a
apologize.
problem. You don't know what to apologize.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My
Good
name is
morning.
Chad Wilson. I think I know most of y'all. I do have to make notes. I'm not the politician. I have to read some of this. Part of my reasons for speaking today is the budget request I had submitted this year, which was for fuel. I think I requested 3,000 additional in fuel. Most of you know I have the whole south end of the county that was condensed into one precinct back when I came in. The year I came in, I believe it was 12 or 13 when I started. Received no additional pay, no additional fuel, nothing whatsoever. Just told, this is your area now, and you do it. Talked to the previous judge about my fuel constraints after the first year, because by September, pretty much, I was in my own pocket. And we did, you know, get a little bit of a raise, I believe, the following year. Bumped it up to $2,000 more, which still, for the area we have, you know, it's just not enough. I'm not gonna sit here and go over numbers, because I don't have numbers. I don't, in Huntington, Savala, we don't have attorneys, we don't have law firms. We get papers that are mailed to us. I do what papers I get. I can't control those numbers. I can't fabricate them. I can't come up here and tell you. I can tell you the numbers that were given to you on the report card by the last constable is inaccurate, but simply because he doesn't know our system and how we keep track of things. I could certainly provide those if you're needed. I've talked to each one of my commissioners before. I have different commissioners now than I did then. I've approached them about this issue about fuel. I believe the other constables have done the same. Nothing has gotten any cheaper, especially gas has not gotten any cheaper. Neither has the request for law enforcement. The sheriff is shorthanded. That's been no secret. A lot of times I'm the only one on the south end of the county that can come take a call, you know, and it doesn't make you feel any good when you're down there by yourself, you know, with a quarter of a tank going to Plum Ridge and no backup, you know, or you get down there and you're by yourself. We're definitely shorthanded on that end. The help is needed, and I need fuel to protect and respond to my citizens' calls.
Some of you believe or I'm not saying some of you, I've been told, some of you are under the impression that we are bailiffs and bailiffs only. We are not. We're county constables. We have the same authority as the deputy sheriff. And we do those same duties when we're not doing our constitutional duty of civil process, court bailiff, and so forth. So with that being said, I wish you would consider, you know, our request, or my request, theirs as well, for the fuel, because it is needed. We kind of got railroaded and used as a doormat, you know, in this last meeting, and it was very embarrassing to sit there and listen to that and watch it. I know each of y'all hear requests from other members and other department heads, and you have to consider all these and try to pick it all out of one pot. But I feel like the way the Precinct 1 constable presented himself was in a very bad way. You know, he states that he's overworked, he can't keep up with his papers, he can't do this, but he can get out and stop 300 or 400 cars. His constitutional duty is to serve his papers. His court bailiff do his job first, play highway patrol second, okay? He's got to get his priorities together. If he can rig out half the cop cars around here and spend 55, 60 hours on each one of them doing work, he can serve his papers. Same thing with the funerals. Same thing with the other jobs he coordinates around here. So I don't have much sympathy for the request and what he's asking for additional deputy, the hours, the gas that comes with all that, when we can't get minute raises on our fuel money, you know. I work as hard as anybody else at my job, just like you do, and we do a lot of the same job, you know. Mr. Kennedy, how many miles of road do you have?
About a little bit over 30.
Okay. Terry, how many you got?
261.
Y'all make the same money?
Yep.
Everybody here makes the same money, Commissioner-wise? Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? It's not based on papers. They set that up. Wes set that up and Tom set that up years ago. It's not based on papers. It's what they want it to be, and it's not right. There should be no gap, that big a gap in there. It's absurd, and that needs to be addressed. I mean, because all it does is create animosity when you have one constable who's already leaps and bounds ahead of others on his budget come up here and ask for that much more, knowing he can do his job with what he's got if he just gets his priorities right. And that's the problem I have today, you know. He knew what his job was when he signed up for it, just like I did. Fuel can be used. I definitely could use fuel. I don't think law enforcement should have a fuel budget. We should be able to respond to any person's needs that needs law enforcement and not worry about if we're gonna run out of gas or pay out of our pocket. I know that, you know, he thinks he's the only one that answers his phone. We all answer our phones. You're elected. You don't answer your phone, guess what? You won't be here very long. Is that right? Somebody calls for service, you're gonna go or you're gonna answer that phone, or you won't be here. And that's the same way with me. We all have that wagon, and it gets loaded, you know, and we're here to serve the citizens and protect and answer to them first. And we're here to spend their money wisely. And I don't think that request that was made is a wise request, simply because he can do what he's got. He can do what he's got to do with what he's got. It's tough for what we've got to do in the area we serve. And again, I don't have the numbers. He's got all the law firms here. He's got all the attorneys. He explained all that to you. So automatically, they're going to go across the street and file that. He's going to get to serve it. He didn't call these people up and tell them to come file this so he can have his numbers, you know, pad his numbers, just like I can, you know. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, I understand his request. I just ask that you understand ours and what we're asking for. And I think it shows a little bit of solidarity for all the constables to show up today. I mean, it was a big concern of us after listening to that and all the phone calls we got after hearing that meeting and how we got used for a doormat, how the other courts were talked about and called part-time court, you know. He doesn't know what those courts do or how they run their offices. You know, just because they're closed one day a week doesn't mean they're not doing their job. They still put in their hours during the week. So, you know, to me, that has no bearing. As long as they're running their office efficiently and they're not getting any complaints, then that's none of his business. You know, neither are my numbers to him. And he does that every time. He comes in, prints all of our numbers, comes up here and runs to y'all so we can get a little pat on the back. and that's not right. That's not right.
Chad, how deep did you have to dip in your pocket last year on fuel?
By September, I was out of money. I'm out of, by September.
How much money did
Do you
you
remember how
have to
much you
use?
had to add?
I have, I'm sorry,
How much money did you have to use out of your salary to cover your
it's,
fuel?
it's probably 4 tanks of gas a month extra, at least. And that's
September.
around, 40-something a tank, 50-something a tank.
Couple
And-
hundred a month,
Sir?
couple
Couple
hundred a
of-
month.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Couple of hundred a month.
At least. And then it just depends, It's like if,
For months.
Plum Ridge, for say, if I get a paper in Plum Ridge, I have to make 3 attempts on that paper legally.
Yeah.
And then I have to come back and get an alternative service signed by the judge and go back and make a 4th attempt. That tank of gas is well gone, well gone.
Yeah, I
You
know,
know.
it's a long way
And that's a
down
long
there.
way.
That's-
And if some of you don't know, you have to drive through Jasper County to get to Plum Ridge, which is Angelina County.
I know.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And that's from Curiosity and Lufkin, where my precinct starts, down to Plum Ridge.
So it was at least 1,000 and probably
It's
this
well
side of
over.
2,000.
It's well over. I mean, it up and down with gas, it just depends on how gas is.
And I got one more question too.
Yes, sir.
I know you're the only constable that actually has 2 different courthouses that you've got to work out of.
Yes, sir.
How often are you in Sabala?
She goes on Tuesdays, and if she has court, then we go there on Tuesdays. She tries to work down there 1 day a week when the tax office is open.
Right.
To make it more efficient, when they're there getting their registration, and she can handle, any of the court business or any of the tickets, from that area. So,
So you're usually down there in that area on Tuesday?
I try to go down there 2 or 3 days a week,
Oh, okay,
but it's usually, it's a planned trip with papers and, I
Right.
try to make it as efficient as I can.
I understand.
But we've got business owners in Huntington, 30-something business owners. It's bad enough that they're offering me gas money,
Wow.
I have somebody in Savannah, I have businesses in Savannah that's offering me gas money. I don't feel right taking that. I feel like we're double taxing our businesses to do that with something that can be done right here. And it's not that big of a request, And all these taxpayers, some here today, know that, and they're watching it. And I can't accept it. It was offered last year and I didn't accept it, It's still there to be accepted and I won't take it. I just don't think that's right. I just don't think it's right. So, I just ask that you please listen, take a look into that and go over all, what we're here asking for today. Each of us are addressing different things. We'll touch on some things. Again, I apologize for being late. I didn't know mine was gonna come up so
Wasn't
soon.
your fault.
So,
Wasn't your fault.
any other questions?
Guys?
That was the only request on fuel, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that enough?
The 3,000 extra that I'm asking for?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be enough.
Okay,
All right,
just,
All right.
that it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Good presentation. Ray? You're in the box. You got here just in time, that's right. Yeah, please announce your position and name and.
Ray Anthony, Constable, Precinct 4.
All right.
morning.
Morning.
And I'm sure that same thing, basically, the car allowance money is what I've always asked for. And it's, I didn't hear everything Chad said, but it's probably some of the same issues. It's the distances that we travel to serve our papers, we're out in the county, more rural areas. And like he said, we have to make at least 3 attempts before we can get alternative service. And sometimes, in my case, that's going to have to be separate days.
Right.
But in my case, I make more than one in the day. So I'm actually, times going out there a couple of times a day. So that adds more miles, burns more fuel, more wear and tear on the vehicle, because a lot of our areas are down rural roads and stuff like that. And then I try to be more proactive in patrolling my areas in that area. And I'm not saying anything against the sheriff's office, because they have to check calls and they're shorthanded a lot of times, all over the county. But and sometimes we might be the only ones for a day or two in that area, doing patrols. And I'm not saying anything bad against the sheriff's office, because I know what they deal with. I talk to those guys, and they, like I say, sometimes they're all over the place, and short-handed at times. So I try to spend a lot of my time doing that, and people appreciate that. And the same ones that appreciate it also will be the first ones to tell me, hey, I hadn't seen you in 4 or 5 days, you know, where you been? So, and then y'all know that as well. So, but yeah, that's what I've asked for, is a couple of $1,000 extra on my
Go
car
from 10 to
allowance.
12.
Yes, sir. And this is a question that I've never really got an answer to before. I've always was told that the car allowance money was based on papers served. The previous constable,
Repeat that question again.
That-
You've always been told what?
that it was based on the papers, the number of papers that we served, is what I was always told. The previous constable, before I took office, was getting $12,000 a year for his car allowance. When I took over, it had dropped to $8,000. It did get bumped up to 10. And I never understood that, because the only thing that changed was the person serving the papers. That's the only thing that changed. You know, the court didn't change, the area didn't change. It was just the person that was doing the work. And I felt like that should have stayed the same, not changed at all. But that's what I'm asking for, is the bump in the.
Did you have to go in your pocket last year to cover your fuel cost?
I made, yes, sir, I think I was out at the end of, somewhere about November.
Okay.
I try to watch my mileage during the day when I'm out and try to keep it, but sometimes it don't work out that way.
So you had a couple of months that you had,
Yes, sir.
okay. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
You're just asking for two?
Yes, sir.
Two.
If you figure 4 tanks a month at $50, that's $1,000, that's $200 a month. I still,
Two would cover it, but it doesn't give
yeah,
any
I know, it
extra.
don't give
You're
you
right.
no extra. I mean, none. So,
I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy or anything.
oh, no, sure, I know, but and I'm gonna use this as an example, guys. We got one asking for 4, which sounds reasonable. We got one asking for 3, and now you're asking for 2. Is that gonna be enough? Is what I'm saying. I mean, it's,
I would just have to see,
yeah,
maybe at the end of the year,
Yeah.
next time, and just see where I'm at.
okay.
I mean, I'm the type of person, I'm a conservative.
Well, I know,
person,
I
you
just-
know,
but I don't
like to
wanna-
blow and go, you know, but.
I don't want
I
you
try
to,
to spend my money wisely.
yeah, but I don't want you to be out your pocket either, so.
I understand that, and I appreciate that.
Constable Anthony, can I ask you a question? You have a problem with the disparity in pay?
Sir?
You have a problem with the disparity in pay? An
Well, it
opinion?
would be nice to
An
be.
opinion?
It's always nice to have more, you know, and, that was something else that, I didn't touch on it, but I know that whenever I took over, the pay was reduced from where it previously was, but I didn't touch on that, but yeah, and I don't remember what the pay was before I took this, what he was making, but I know it was reduced.
I'm looking at it, I'm just curious what you thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to be up there, maybe across the board possibly, I don't know, but,
How long have you been in office, right?
6
since
years.
January 13.
13.
Six years. Here it is.
52.
All right. You get certificate pay, right?
No, I do not.
That's right. I remember
I got into law enforcement
Little late.
late in years.
that. I remember that now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm kinda like Mr. Pitts there, I'm one of the old paper mill guys that just, yeah, that got forced to leave and start something new.
Yes. I'm good.
All right. Anything else? Ray, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Kerry Sims, he's not here yet. Okay, all right. Amy, if you would do your presentation.
Okay. So I was asked by Judge Winberry to explain my records management account. That is different than the general fund. So, I don't know, do you have the paper that shows what all?
Which one we doing now?
It's records management.
Records
for county
management.
clerk.
I've got it right here.
See the packet, these-
Yeah.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's salaries.
there's 4 different revenue accounts that make up this fund. First is the county clerk records archive. This is a $10 fee that must be paid at the time a person presents a public document to the county clerk for recording or filing. So that would be a real property record or an assumed name certificate.
Where?
And reading from the statute, it says the fee shall be deposited in a separate account and may be expended only for the preservation and restoration of the county clerk's records archive. Before collecting this fee, the county clerk shall prepare an annual written plan for funding the preservation and restoration of the county clerk's records archive. So my 2019 archival plan was approved by Commissioners Court on August 14th of 2018, and it explains that this fund is being used to pay CoFile Technologies an annual fee for digitizing the real property records back to sovereignty. This was a 5-year contract approved by Commissioners Court on April 11th, 2017. And then I'll be presenting my 2020 archival plan next court meeting. And so that's the first one, county clerk archive. So y'all have any questions on that one?
Where are the records actually kept? When they're archived, are they kept here or are they kept at a database somewhere else?
A database.
Somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The digital records. They're coming in and scanning old books.
Is that what's
Paper
going, that's what's
records.
going on in Nacogdoches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, because as of right now, if somebody were to come in and research property, and it was before 1962, they're having to pull old books out.
Right.
Oh, they can't look at the computer, and so not only is that damaging these books, but it's inconvenient also.
Okay. Now, is this tied in with SFA? There was some, okay, this is part of what's being done in cooperation with SFA.
A lot of our books are stored at SFA, and so CoFile has went to SFA and scanned, actually, they got to get the books from SFA, scan them, and then take them back to SFA. And now they're working on indexing them so that they'll all be digitized.
Wow. How far back are we going?
Sovereignty.
Really?
Who?
Sovereignty all the way back to the start.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
I was
Yeah,
just
to the
picking.
beginning, yeah. Wow.
Is that the same thing as what that record management we talked about the other day with district clerk?
Yes,
No,
but
they
they're
was talking about
two
SFA.
separate,
Yeah.
two separate entities.
Yeah.
And at one time, we did both of them at the same court meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but now we're doing them separate,
Yeah.
on separate times,
Yeah,
separate
okay.
court months. But yes, that
Yeah.
is correct.
Okay, so that was the first one. The second is the vital statistics archive fee. In accordance to the Health and Safety Code, Chapter 191, a local registrar or county clerk may collect a fee not to exceed $1 for One, preserving vital statistic records maintained by the registrar or county clerk, including birth, death, fetal death, and marriage records. Two, training registrar or county clerk employees regarding vital statistic records. And three, ensuring the safety and security of vital statistic records. So this fee is collected on the issuance of a vital statistics record, and it's $1, and that's what that fee can be used for. And it is to be held in a separate account. So that's the vital statistics archives fee. The next two accounts they're a little more complicated. There's the county clerk records management and preservation fund and the county records management and preservation fund. And there are several different fees that are deposited into these accounts. First is a $10 fee for the records management and preservation services performed by the county clerk after the filing and recording of a document in the records of the office of the clerk. The fee shall be deposited in a separate account and may be used only to provide funds for specific records management and preservation, including for automation purposes. Two, when a defendant is convicted of an offense, they shall pay a fee of $25 for records management and preservation services performed. $22.50 is deposited into the county records management and preservation fund, and $2.50 to the county clerk records management and preservation fund. These fees may be used only to provide funds for specific records management and preservation, including for automation purposes. And then the third is a $5 fee that shall be assessed as cost and must be paid at the time of filing any civil case. The fee shall be placed in a separate fund and used only for records management and preservation purposes. So the funds from these two accounts are used for the monthly payments of $6,000 made to Avenue for maintaining the official public records and for the salary of one of my deputy clerks.
All the money that comes in fees basically is what goes to the record preservation. There's no additional money that comes from the county.
Right.
Basically, it's
Yes,
all.
it's all.
So we only spend that amount for the
Yes.
records.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And like I said, and one of the deputy clerks they're paid out of that also.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, you know, we have a lot of different types of records, and it's my responsibility to preserve and protect them. And you are more than welcome to come in and see what I've done and see what's left to do.
Well,
Y'all have any questions?
On your deputy spot number
Yes.
8, Amy, they're currently $13.70 an hour, and you want to bump them to $13.89.
No,
No?
I'm not raising any. Can I see what you're looking at? That's out of the general, that's not out of records management, but I mean, I can explain it though.
No, that's the problem.
That, I had that amount, the $13.89.
98.
98.
I had that
$13.89.
amount, but when I hired her, I didn't pay her the full amount until she had been there for 3 months.
I got you.
And so the money was already there, I just moved her up to that amount.
Okay. But you got, two of your other deputy 6 and 7 at 14.57. Have they been that longer or what?
No,
How's your pay scale work if you?
that was set up before I came into office.
Yes, ma'am.
It does bother me because,
The disparity.
yes, I mean, one has been there 3 years and one, I don't know, maybe 6 or something, and they make the same amount, but that's just how it's always been set up, and they understand that there's not a lot I can do about it.
We can.
That's up to y'all.
Well,
I know what you're dealing with, because my guys was that way
Yeah,
when I took over.
we have all dealt with that situation, and I'd like to correct it. If we can sit down and look at it,
Right,
I'd appreciate that.
okay.
that would be good.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Hank. All right. Mr. Sims.
Let me bring in a couple chairs.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-uh.
Show and tell.
Salesman here.
Back to the general fund then.
I do apologize to the court if I'm late.
You're not late.
You're not, we're
We're
just running
ahead.
fast.
We're running ahead.
Running fast.
Okay, I hit 10 o'clock.
Everybody's come in and says, I'm sorry, but they're not,
Okay.
I mean, we're just running ahead, so that's good.
Good, fantastic. Single entry, we appreciate, single request that we've got. We certainly have appreciated y'all's support over the years. As you know, our office, we're an outreach office, educating the public, reaching both youth and adults alike. Our building is about, we were trying to figure that out, 21 years old. We're just now, maintenance department's doing a phenomenal job. We've been replacing tables and projectors and things as we go along. What we've never replaced, what is showing its age is our chairs. These are some of the original ones.
Nice chairs.
Well,
That's not a chair.
they're just.
I don't even make good deer stand chairs.
It's not enough for deer stand. The welds are starting to break. We lose the, we've got good, we figured out that 3 screws will hold it back on. They just work themselves out and they get lost or swept up or something. We've even, I mean, it's kind of it's at least a one day a year event that we sit here and say, all right, and the fellas, Ryan and Joel and I, we bring our electric grills and screwdrivers from home, and when the chairs, I don't know if y'all can see this, but when these get worn out, we just adjust them up and put 4 new screws back in, so. Do y'all have a copy of the,
Yes.
Yes, of the request.
well, the request is good, let me also show you
And-
exactly what we're looking
And
for.
also the pictures
You've got it.
of this.
Yes, sir.
All right, you got it. I called them again this morning. The thing of it is that they do not, the date on that would have been June 6th. The chairs are still $19.99 a piece. I said, how long y'all guarantee that? Because they're like, you ready to place your order today, sir? And I'm like, no, we've got to go through this, the budget process. And they said, well, they don't guarantee orders, don't guarantee prices, but they've held for a little over a month. And the only thing really that's going to change, the only thing that would change from the original, shipping and handling has dropped $17. It's now $4.20. So moving forward, I feel comfortable with what we've asked. I don't see these chairs changing.
You're talking
Check
about
price.
150 chairs, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's, when we're at max, that's what we can do. And that, quite honestly, allows us some flexibility whenever some break or get ripped or get whatever, that we can, we'll have some spares and not have to have a mismatch.
Are they an improvement from?
I think so. I've seen these in some other places. They seem to be sturdier made. That's our hope. These have lasted 20 years. We're tickled to death that they've lasted. This is, I guess, in that room, the last thing that we've, tables and the AV equipment, just have aged and we've, and so,
You're not changing any of the chair moving equipment or anything, the dollies or anything like
well,
that?
did it come out, did that show on there?
Uh-huh.
Dollies come free with this.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have any
Dollies.
dollies or anything like that, so.
But the dolly will come with this when you're doing this, okay?
In fact, it's 2 dolly. well,
2 dollies, one of them is a stacked chair and the other one is a banquet chair.
Yeah, well, they're all, one's more for storage, just middle one, but the other one's for
Okay.
like a hand truck to move them across the floor, so.
Well, it shows 3 of the holders or whatever, and then 2 of the dollies. That's,
And they just threw that in, yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good, yes.
So, I'm guessing you order 50, they give you one, and we order 100.
Yeah, buy one, get one free.
Okay.
Awesome.
So,
All right, and that brings, those chairs are roughly $3,500.
yes, sir.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, any other questions?
I would like to say that's good engineering from, extension agents.
Good engineering. Well, we've gotten creative. Our next step would be to hire a welder to patch those that we chuckle.
That's something
Well,
we appreciate.
you're very welcome.
Gary, what's gonna happen to the old chairs?
There's a few of them that would be salvageable. I'd be embarrassed to whoever got them, but there's a few of them that would be salvageable. Certainly, we could recycle the metals. I mean, that would, I guess we'd have to take off all the.
Can we take the ones like to the senior citizen center or something
But
like that?
yes, I'm completely open to that.
You don't have any use for them as far as the ones that are in good shape?
No,
Okay.
we'd want to look professional in our presentations. We wouldn't want to mismatch, and certainly, yeah, if there's another place that would use, I don't know how many good ones there's still left. I guess a good one is one that, with the back stays on.
One that still stays
We're-
on?
we're-
Re-engineered?
Re-engineered.
Yes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. Thanks,
All right. Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, Connie, you're up. You're next. Or, I see you brought your backup, so.
I thought it was important for her to be able to see the process and everything.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Absolutely.
I wanted her to be here. Okay, I'm Connie Brown, the election administrator for Angelina County. And I am standing before you humbly. Y'all all have a list of the requests, right? They all have?
Yes.
Okay. I know the first item, I put additional employee. I'd like to talk about that one last, of course. I'll start with number 2, the Vista Solutions. It's the software maintenance that we need annually for the scanning that we're doing for our records, voter application records. It's something that that's required, of course, if we have their software, but also it involves them. If we have any issues during the year, then they can step in and help us to fix that, and that's just part of all that, that $2,500. I was using Chapter 19 funds. I don't know if all of you are aware of the Chapter 19. It's an amount of money that the state pays the elections administrator's office for applications that are being entered during the year and for different things other than voters' applications. They pay us so many cents per each one done. So we never know how much each year we're going to receive. Even numbered years, we receive more. Of course, there's more activity because of the presidential and governor year. Odd years are a lot less. So I'm pretty much tapped out this year.
Approximately how much are you talking about on average?
In the odd years, it can be anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. But in an even year, it can be anywhere from, let's see, I think our last one was, I think it was it 19? 15 or 19, now I can't remember exactly, but around 15 or 19,000. But there's no guarantee, of course, you know, we never know what it's gonna be. It can drop way down or, you know, it can exceed that.
Reimburse funds. Yeah.
Yes. So I am very conscious of the amount of money that I get to use for it, because it does benefit the county. You know, it helps, you know, I might have money left over in my budget because I've used these funds, and I do try to do that as much as I can. Because if you don't use it, you lose it with them also, okay? So, so I do watch out for that. It's very important to me. Just like the state told me, they said, this is not to replace what you would receive in a budget. They can't say, well, we know you get this much money, and so we're not gonna give you this much money, you know, for your budget. It can't be used in that form or fashion, but I always try to use it up if I can, you know, for important things, not frivolously. And we do have to report that to Secretary of State. It's not like it's just the money's out there and I can just use it. It's approved only for voter registration. That's all you can use Chapter 19 for, okay? All right, so number 3, AT&T. Well, with all the new equipment going forward with the tablets for each location for our elections, as you well know, a lot of them are rural area where they don't have anything going on as far as Wi-Fi and things like that. So we've been doing research. I've worked with Chris in IT over the past year or so, and so the hotspot turned out was going to be really our best avenue to help us be able to transmit information from the tablets to all the locations and up to the vendor, giving them the information as the voters are voting. And then, of course, that we can use that to transmit to Secretary of State.
Are we sure that hotspot's gonna work?
We actually have them right now, and it is our goal right now to go out, because, the constitutional amendment will only have 8 boxes to go to. So those 8 boxes, we're going to, because Elizabeth actually called all the locations, the 27 polling locations, to verify who does, who doesn't, and all the ones that could help us, they are trying to, but their funds are so limited. A lot of them are churches and stuff, so but they're doing the best they can for us too. But so the ones for the constitutional amendment, we're actually going to, when we get back from the conference next week, we're going to be making appointments to go out there and see how everything's going to work.
Okay.
And of course, we have a bigger road ahead of us when we get to the next year for the primary for all the locations. So, but we'll actually be working on those too. But we got to get constitutional amendment going first.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just, you can see, I'm sorry, I mean, I know I'm requesting this money, but it's just a ridiculous amount what it cost, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it whenever I started working on all of this. So don't think I'm just sitting here thinking, oh, okay, well, here we go, I need this, It's just shocking to me about the cost too, so. Number 4, the dues and publications. Again, I can use some of this money if it helps to benefit the voters. This year, being smaller year in cost for the elections, I was able to put out an ad in the paper, or not an ad, but well, I guess it is an ad. It was a little sticky that they put on the front of the newspaper, reminding everyone to please, if you need to change your address and update your information and all that. So that used a big portion of my funds. I still have some left, of course, to take care of the election like I need to. But since that was targeted for the voters, my Chapter 19 was able to pay for that. So I used it, I was able to do that too.
Is Chapter 19 kept separate? Or is it in here?
No,
It's
it
kept
can't be a
separate.
part of the budget,
Okay.
yes.
Gotcha.
They repeated that to me several times
Gotcha.
over the years, whenever
Right.
I'd call about something.
It's in a separate account.
Yeah, I'll have to look at Janice for that one. Okay, number 5, the training personnel. Okay, once a year we go to the Secretary of State for our election law seminar. I feel like if we were not able to go to that, we would definitely not be as good as we are knowing everything that we need to know for the elections. So it's such a huge benefit. There's another conference that's out there. We generally don't have enough money for that because it costs a little over $3,000 to go to Secretary of State. My budget is $2,000. So I have been using my Chapter 19 funds for that also, because since we talk about voter registration, it's allowed for us to use that for the conference. So as you can tell, the Chapter 19 funds is so beneficial, and I'm not requesting all the money that it does cover, but I'm requesting some, and just in case I don't have enough in that, that I won't be short. Election expenses. Actually, every year they put $125,000 out there for the election expenses. So this year I went to Janice and said, am I supposed to just leave it at 125, or am I supposed to request what I'm thinking? And she recommended, we looked at last year's, of course that was the governor's year. I feel like the expenses will be close to that. It could be a little bit more, so that's the reason I raised it up to $165,000, which was a $40,000 increase from that. Okay, and then the last one, which requests are all important, but the additional employee, I know you guys have seen me up here, for the last, 2 or 3 years, and requesting a new employee. And I've been using, again, the Chapter 19 funds for the voter registration part of what this person that I have right now has been doing. And I've just about tapped everything out. I'm to the point now, have to stop everything that she does for us and just let it sit there, or we can catch it up as best as we can. So, but that's the whole thing that I want to make sure, and I know you guys understand it, because commissioners, I know you have employees, you have to, divvy out the work and do all that, and all of you. Mamie has her office, and Judge, you've got the county, and, and I know that Janice has her office and has employees. So, but I want to let y'all know, I got to a point last year, during the election. It was a big year, and we were getting close to the general election, and so, that 240-hour situation that we have, you get to that point. Well, I have no money to go over to pay someone over that. So we were to the point where the employees, both my employees, were up to that 240 mark. I had one that reached it, and we're literally in the days before the election, and I had to tell that employee, you've hit, and this is after giving her a week off as much as I can, so we can have room to get into the general election. So the whole year, I'm working her over, but I'm having to send her home or give her a week off. So the work piles up, So one day I looked at Elizabeth, and I'll use you now since you're sitting there. And I told her, I said, Elizabeth, you have to go home and you have to take off tomorrow. I believe that was a Thursday and Friday. Elizabeth is a type of employee. She doesn't care what it takes to get the job done. She's going to be there. And she looked at me and she said, Connie, she said, what are you going to do? She said, we got to get it done. Well, then I stayed, and, and that's my job. That's my job, to make sure. I told her, I said, you know what? You don't worry about that. You need to go home. I said, the work will get done. And I made sure it did get done. So we have, all of us, I'm sure, employees, outstanding employees that are like that. Sonia's not here. She's another one. She would have done the same thing if she could. So this additional person, there is plenty of work for that person, And like I said, I've been here 3 times. I feel like I'm up to bat for the 3rd time now. I'm hoping it's my turn to bat and be able to run around the bases and make a home run. So I know that you're looking at this request, all these requests. The amount of money is astronomical. I'll be the first one to say, it's overwhelming sometimes, So, but I want to let you know that I've thought about it long and hard, and I don't take it lightly. And we try every way we can to cut corners. So I'm just letting you guys know. And that's
I've got 2 questions.
Sure.
First of all, about the employee. Your office right now has yourself in 2 full-times, right? And you're asking for an additional full-time employee.
Yes.
And you had mentioned that you may be retiring.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question is this, is once you retire, is this actually a training position more to where it's going to go back to a 3-employee office, or is it once you're talking about going to a 4-person office, basically?
Definitely, yes.
Because the work is needed?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we talk about this year being a smaller year because of the, we only had the cities and schools elections, and then we have the constitutional
This
amendments.
is a good training year because it's not quite as busy.
Yeah, well, we're over that, so this won't happen till next year anyway, so.
That clarifies that question. And the other thing is a clarification thing on your capital outlay. There's a lot of equipment that come in, new equipment last year. Now, I understand that the 333,000 roughly last year was a first payment on basically that equipment.
Correct.
The 274.5
is the second year payment that's being requested for 2020.
Correct.
And it's a 3-year
Yes, sir.
thing, so we should have one more year at the 275 roughly,
Yes, sir.
and then that equipment will be owned.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And that's my understanding, is that, that's correct, right, James?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because the court approved all that, so, you know,
Right.
I kind of just said, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it was well understood, that we've got, this was a 3-year contract
Yes.
for all this new equipment.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Guys?
But there's still a lot of work to be done.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I just,
Can I add something? This is, I'm gonna just throw my personal opinion in here, and I think this affects countywide. This department is the foundation for the continuity of our government. And, my opinion, court, if we can't fund this department, we don't have a government. And I'm just gonna let us dwell on that right there. I see the personnel that she's training to take her place. That's not taken lightly on me.
Well, she would be the recommendation I would make to,
I don't need,
you know.
I understand that, I get that, that's fairly obvious, you know, but, you know, I've watched your employees work. I want to make sure that the continuity of our government is sound and solid, and if it takes, funding to do that, then we have an obligation that, before all others, to fulfill. That's all.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Connie.
Thank y'all, I appreciate
Excellent
everything.
presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to the
Thank you.
end. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I said thank you.
Okay. That brings us to the end of our budget workshop. I'd entertain a motion to recess or adjourn.
When we go recess to.
Hey, can I ask a question? When are we gonna look at the rest of them?
For everybody's knowledge, Janice and I will sit down and actually come up with our next phase, which is gonna be my proposed budget. And right after that, then we're gonna start setting up a schedule for what we're gonna do with everything that we've got. Once we know for sure exactly what our revenue is and where we're going from there, okay? But now, as far as the others, are you talking about your budgets?
Yeah, ours, have we talked to everybody but us?
Talk to everybody that was contested, yes.
That was
Oh,
contacted?
everybody that asked for something?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I had, oh, I'm sorry.
County court laws and.
We had the 30, basically, there was 30 departments that were actually requesting and wanting to come before us. And we have addressed all those with today. This was the last ones that we have not addressed. The only other thing is the commissioners, road and bridge funds.
We
And,
talked to Joe Lee?
Yes.
When?
No, I talked to him, I'm sorry.
I
And
understand,
he said that, no, what he requested was not, you know, from what I understand, he didn't want to come before us, and he turned in his request, and there wasn't, he didn't want to come before us.
Okay.
He actually showed up, yesterday. And, reiterated that. Okay.
So what you're saying is everybody that wanted to come before us has come before us now,
Yes, yes.
other than us.
Other than
Us
y'all.
ain't come before us?
Yes. Yes, that is exactly right.
Okay.
So
Let me ask you this.
What about
Let me ask you this. While we are all here, Janice just asked me, do y'all want to talk about your budgets now, while we're still in meeting?
Does it have to be on the agenda?
It does not have to be on
No,
the
it's
agenda
simply to
because
work
I
out.
had placed all these myself, so, no.
Well, I can't think of a better time. And I also wanna talk about raises. I don't know where that's gonna come in for county employees.
Yep.
It's fine with me, we can discuss that now. We do not have we have the final figures, but we don't have the formulas yet as to exactly what our revenue stream is gonna be. We do have, as of yesterday, we got the final numbers, but we don't have everything put together. It was late yesterday afternoon, we don't have everything put together
That's the,
yet.
is what it.
Yeah, I'd say wait for the numbers.
We can recess till, when will, Ms. Cordero, when would we have our projected revenue?
Not until Billy gets back, and I think she's gone to conference,
She's,
because she's the one that's gonna.
so sometime next week?
Yeah,
so
she'll
we
be the
could
one
just-
that runs all the numbers and tells us what our effective tax rate is, rollback rates and all that.
So we can adjourn till one day next week? Make a motion to adjourn till next week, till we get our, projected numbers.
We can do that. Now, if we decide to get back together for another meeting, I need at least a 3 to 4 day notice, so
Or we
post
can
it.
adjourn right now, not adjourn, but recess until that time, without posting. We can recess to another date, but it ain't gonna do us
I
any good
understand.
until we,
Know exactly
know what our
what we
numbers
got to
are.
work with.
Right.
Yeah. It's
So-
up to y'all.
I don't feel like we can do anything until we find out what our projected numbers are. So that's my opinion.
Let's-
Somebody may have a different one. If they do, we'll entertain it.
Well, it'll be at least Monday before we have, any projected figures, more likely Tuesday.
Recess till Monday at 9 a.m.
Or Tuesday.
Well, you're gonna go have to get, I'm just saying, you're gonna have to give her a little bit of time to get these numbers run out to us.
Well, yeah.
So,
That's
you know, it's
fine.
at least be like Wednesday or Thursday.
I'm gonna be in also,
Okay.
the 30th and 31st. So what we gotta do is, I mean, Monday would have to be before, I mean, we can get any numbers together, but
Right.
I'll work on it Monday. But I'll be out
She-
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, let's go in Thursday. Will you be back on Thursday?
Yes.
Let's just look for Thursday, 9 o'clock.
Okay, well,
And if you need to post it, post it.
Don't I have to post
Is there a limit on how long we
Proposed budget.
recess?
You gotta do
Yeah,
this on the
yeah.
31st.
Yeah.
So we gotta get your proposed
Can't
budget
be more
together
than
before I
48
leave on Monday.
Yeah, I'd be.
Okay, that's what I mean. We're
Yeah.
doing a proposed budget before we even get back together for the, okay.
Well, but law, you gotta do the proposed
Yeah.
budget, so.
Yeah, I know it. All right.
make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Second.
A second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank y'all.